Some breaking news the day of training camp. Nick Caserio extends Tytus Howard. What does it mean? And we finally made it. Training camp is here. Let's go inside the locker room. Start it off with some breaking news.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what
training camp is here, and we wake up with some breaking news. Tytus Howard has been extended by Nick Caserio. Adam Schefter wakes up and kicks that butt on the beat. He had it first. A lot of people had it after, but Adam Schefter had the news first. Tytus Howard, he gets a 3-year contract extension worth $56 million, $36.5 million guaranteed. And this has been something that we've kind of talked about throughout the course of the offseason, and we've kind of debated, where is the money going to go when you have CJ Stroud on his rookie contract? We've seen Bill O'Brien in the past try to invest heavily in the offensive line. Didn't necessarily pay off, specifically because of the interior. And we've seen teams like Jacksonville who've, let an offensive lineman go here or there, and they went heavily in year 2 on the wide receivers. You got to hope that the Texans eventually find some young wide receivers they like, because eventually you're going to have to spread this type of love out. But you have the highest paid left tackle in Laramie Tunsil. You have Tytus Howard, who's now among the top highest paid right tackles. You have Shaq Mason on the interior that is one of the higher paid guards. You traded for him. You traded for Juice Scruggs. You traded up for Juice Scruggs, used the second round, you used the first runner on Kenyon Green. So thought number one of this Tytus Howard thing, and it is the locker room number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. And I'm going to be at training camp. Right from here, I'm going to training camp. We're going to be posted up at the 50-yard line. We're going to be talking to players. So ride along, download the Odyssey app, check it out here. We're going to have all the content for you. Number one source for Texans daily digital content. We've been doing this for 10 months. We're almost 5,000 deep, and we also pushing 1 million views. So yeah, it's been fun. Appreciate you for riding along, but it should be a good time. And it starts off with some breaking news. Thought number one on this is the offensive line has to be set. There's a lot of things that you can go through. Growing pain wise, CJ Stroud can figure it out. D'Amico Ryans, there might be some early hiccups. There could be some early hiccups with Will Anderson. Hell, Derek Stingley could even struggle, have a sophomore slump, as could Jalen Petrie. Not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying if it did, it wouldn't be the end of the world. The offensive line, with all you've invested, I was actually going to get into this morning, even before the Tytus Howard thing, but your offensive line has to be set. With everything that's invested, it's not guys on rookie deals. You have 3 of the highest paid players at their position. You have a first round pick and you have a second round pick. One of Bill O'Brien's biggest issues among many as a front office guy was the offensive line. You invested a lot in it. You really weren't getting too much out of it. That can't be the case here. Especially with the Tytus Howard thing. Now, I wondered, I thought maybe you let Tytus Howard play this year and then you evaluate and figure out where all your money has to go. They decided they're going to invest in the offensive line, and the offensive line should be set. Now, this doesn't really change anything from last season. This is money. Your strengths last year on the offensive line were your tackles. You're bringing those tackles back. You got to hope that they get even better. But that interior of the offensive line, thought too, is non-negotiable. I don't want to say the entire credibility of this front office and this scouting department is on the line, but when you decide to pick a guard in the first round in Kenyon Green and he has the type of year he had last year, can't wait to see what he looks like at training camp. You trade up for a center when center is one of your biggest needs, and you bring in a guy who's never played in this system and you pay him like you did Shaq Mason. The interior of the offensive line is non-negotiable. They got to be right on par with the tackles. It can't be strength on the outside and then, basically a Walmart greeter handing out coupons to defensive linemen trying to kill your quarterback. The interior of the offensive line, it's non-negotiable. It has to work out. Thought 3 on this Tytus Howard contract. How will things play out in the future? Or is it going to be a situation like Jacksonville year 2 of Trevor Lawrence where you're going to need to just invest heavily in weapons, and they've kind of continued to do that with Calvin Ridley. You pay high value for Christian Kirk. You bring in Zay Jones. You bring in Ingram. You sign Calvin Ridley. Are the Texans going to have to do that? And as the bills come up and you have to pay a little bit more, are they going to have too much invested in the offensive line? That's not something they have to worry about right now, but moving forward, as you look ahead, I call it playing chess, looking years ahead. When you're investing this much in the O-line, you got to hope you're going to be able to either develop players or that you're going to have the appropriate assets to be able to build a complete roster and fill potential weaknesses. Thought 4, the one BOB lasting gift, tackles. Who knew? Bill O'Brien and the POS, Jack Easterby, they left this organization in not such a good position when they left, but you did get your tackles from Tytus Howard. Now, Titus Howard was a Brian Gain pick, one of the only good picks that Brian Gain made, and Laramie Tunsil was a BOB / Jack Easterby trade. So the one lasting gift you do have, and I guess you can connect Bill O'Brien and Brian Gain, because remember they said they were aligned until they weren't. So BOB gives you the tackles. Camp starts today. Right along, huge things ahead. Going to be on the field at the 50. We're going to have players, exclusive interviews. We're going to bring you the best Texans coverage that you can possibly get anywhere in the country. We've made it through the tough spot. We've been consistent each time, bringing you the best content possible. And I appreciate you for riding along, and I hope you continue to do so because it's going to be fun. Props to Adam Schefter for kicking everyone's ass on this story. People kind of piled on afterwards. There were some sources and breaking 30 minutes after, but we know where the news came from. Adam Schefter, rise and grind. Hashtag Titus Howard gets paid. What do you think about it? Should they have let it play out? Do they have too much invested in the offensive line? How is this offensive line going to be? Discuss, put it in the comments, subscribe, like, ride along. No matter what happens when it comes to the Texans, when there's breaking news, come right here because we're all in this together. Appreciate everyone for rolling through.
Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube.